Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Evelyn and today I want to do a video about removing financial clutter. I'm going to share 4 ways in which I removed financial clutter from my personal finances. Clutter is anything that doesn't serve you or bring you joy, anything that doesn't benefit you. So even in our finances, there are things that we carry and service, but they don't really benefit us, and you are the only one who can decide what clutter is and what is not clutter. So the first thing, I've got my notes here so that I don't forget, but the first thing that I removed, okay, let me first start by saying that everything that I'll be talking about happened from January to December 2020. So it was a continuous evaluation process, and every now and then I would question whether I want to carry on with certain items and products and so on. So I'll be referring to some dates and in some cases not. The first thing that I removed from my finances was a bank account. I had 2 check accounts, one where I received my salary and one where I just transferred some funds to separate my expenses. So I sat down and evaluated whether I needed 2 check accounts that I do not. So I decided to close that check account, and yeah, that was done in January of last year, 2020. The motivation, the biggest motivation for me to close this account was that it had gotten too expensive, because at the time that I switched to another bank, that account had been upgraded to platinum status, so the fees were quite pricey, and honestly, for an account that I didn't use for all my main transactions, it didn't make sense to keep it, so I closed it down. The next piece of clutter that I had to let go was a savings policy that I opened with my life cover. It was just a basic, I think it was unit trust. I didn't even know what it was when I opened it. All I knew is at the time, the financial advisor that helped me with my life cover said whatever amount that I was going to pay for the life cover was not enough to meet the minimum that the company or the service provider needed to debit from my account. So I just needed to top up with a small amount. That was back in 2011. So from 2011 up to 2020, the amount had grown to 235. So I looked at the latest statement that they sent me around September, and I realized that carrying on with that savings account was not a fruitful exercise. So I decided to close it down. This savings account, in the statement that I received in September, I was charged 166 Rand for admin fees, and my investment had grown by 13 Rand, 13. So that means I had made a loss of 153. So I sat down and thought it's pointless to carry on saving this money. I mean, it was an amount of 235. I know how to invest my own money. I already have a structure that I'm very happy with. So it just didn't make sense. Besides, I had made a loss. Disregarding the market issues in 2020, but the fact remained that I had made a huge loss of 153. So I decided to close that account and take the 235 and top up the payments, the down payments on my home loan. One might say that 235 is not a lot of money. Why didn't I continue just saving it? But like I said, I know how to invest my own money. But 235 with the balance that I have today on my home loan can reduce the term of the loan by 15 months. So the third thing that I removed from my finances was actually to avoid an expense. So back in 2013, I bought a gold coin, half an ounce of gold in the form of a coin, a well-known gold dealer, with the aim of holding it for many years and selling it one day, or leaving it to people to inherit. So the decision came because back in 2013 when I bought it, they offered free safekeeping. So I let them keep the coin for me because it's better that way. And then in 2019 or 2018 thereabout, their policies changed and they decided to charge for safekeeping. And my rationale was, this is an asset that I'm holding for appreciation. It's not bringing me any revenue to service the expense of storage fees. So I had to let it go. And I asked them to sell it. And yeah, the sale went by very quickly around October last year. And I did make a loss because I bought it for a very high amount and they sold it for less than what I paid for it. But I didn't mind because it's better to sell it. In my assessment, it was better to sell it than to keep it and keep paying the expense for the fees. So, and put it in the market, bought shares in the US, and I bought shares in Australia. So I'm hoping that my money would grow or will recover to the value that I paid in 6 years' time. The last item that I dealt with was retirement annuity policies. I used to have 2 retirement annuity policies with 2 different service providers, and both of them were charging upwards of 2% on annual fees. So I felt like that is a lot of money, because I know that there are service providers that offer retirement annuities for 1% or less. So I went around and shopped for that, and I did a section 14 transfer. That's what they call it, when you take your money from one retirement annuity to another service provider. So that's the transfer that I did. The reason for that is that I was no longer contributing to those products. So it didn't make sense for me to just leave money there that will service expensive fees. So I needed to move it. And as you know, with retirement annuities, you have to wait for your retirement age. So while I wait for my retirement age, I have to at least make sure that my products are cost efficient. So I shopped around for a provider that charges 1% or less. and I found one, and I consolidated those two into one fund. So now I only have one RA, and I'm paying much less than what I used to pay. So yeah, that is how I removed financial clutter from my life. I hope you will be inspired to look at your finances and see where you can remove clutter in order to avoid expenses that you are not comfortable with paying, or in order to reduce costs that are not serving you well. Remember, this video is not financial advice. I am not qualified to give you financial advice. I'm here to just start a conversation around our finances. In the comments, please share how you removed clutter from your finances. Thank you for watching, and please subscribe if you're not, and if you find this information or this video useful, please share it with your friends, and let's keep the conversation going. Thank you so much. Bye.